classical crossover pianist Jolynn J Chin, and you're watching Eventeus. I started playing piano at the age of around 6. I remember when I was 5, my parents signed me up for this music appreciation class with a bunch of other kids. We were just having fun with percussion instruments, dancing and singing. And a couple of months after, the teacher of that class came up to them and told them that I could actually grasp a lot of these complicated rhythm and melodies at that age, and suggested that I started piano at this age. And of course they agreed. And so I was 6 at that time, and that was how it began. Performance on stage was when I was 7 years old. I don't really know what's actually going on at that time because all I knew was that I had to practice and play something on stage. I remembered having my first piano exam when I was 7. I remembered scoring high distinction on that one. It was kind of like a high distinction sort of concert. I remember having to practice a piece, and I just knew that I had to play on a grand piano in a concert hall. And that was all I remembered. I actually think that starting your first performance at that age, it's kind of great because you technically don't feel the nerves at all. You basically don't know what's going on and you just play. One of the biggest things that I'm definitely proud of throughout my whole career has definitely got to be Beyond Classical, which is my first EP album that I released in 2019. It's definitely something I'm really proud of coming along this whole way since I knew I wanted to do classical crossover music and finally being able to produce it. I remember being 10 years old and making my own first album with paper origami and coloring it and all of those stuff, cutting the whole CD shape with that hole in the middle and playing it under the piano chair where you can actually flip the covers of the chair. That was sort of like my CD player, and I would just play on top of it and imagine that that was my album, and it came true. Seven Ring Sonata was just such an impromptu arrangement that I did. So I remember it's 7 Rings by Ariana Grande was just released at the first quarter of 2019, and it was just playing everywhere. I was in the middle of my brainstorming session one day for Instagram content. I usually cover these 1-minute videos, and it's hard not to have 7 Rings come across my mind during that session. I sat on the piano and I started thinking of what interesting arrangements I can do for 7 Rings. Finally came to the section where she started to rap, and I was thinking, what can I actually do in this rapping section since it's clearly impossible for a piano to play any rap. And me being a classical crossover artist, it just came to my mind, third movement from Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. I decided to just play on top of the beats that I've already created, and it worked. And I started to incorporate the first movement, that famous Moonlight theme coming in, and I thought of layering the melody of 7 Ring Sonata on top of that, and I kept working through it and started to cross over every single thing that came to my mind on that specific session. And as we were shooting the video, I thought of having a keyboard at the side just so that I could bring that picture of having 2 different worlds of music but coming together as one. So I actually played Ariana Grande's melodies on the synth, so that kind of signifies the modern music that we have today. And I was playing broken chords, arpeggios, and all of that stuff from the sonata on the acoustic piano instead. So it kind of like had this sort of depiction when I was playing 2 pianos at the same time as a classical crossover artist, bringing, you know, the best of both worlds of music together. Uploaded that to Instagram first and then to YouTube, and it just gained over 10,000 views in a few days that I posted it, which was insane. Since I thought everyone enjoyed it so much, I just went back to my creative zone. I thought that I need to do this, I need to make this an official track, and there it is, 7 Ring Sonata. 10 years time, that's really long. I want to continue to do what I love doing doing my music. I would like to see myself still doing that. I hope that I can continue to bring that message of endless, limitless possibilities with music, and especially as a classical crossover artist, having to continue to explore different types of music genres and just being curious enough to know how they sound like together. And I want to continue passing this sort of message that music is always limitless and endless. And probably having released already 6 or 7 albums out there, probably somewhere on the road touring to another city, to many more concerts at that period of time, at that point of time, maybe with 3 kids waiting at home for me to come back from my tour. No, maybe just 2. Maybe I can't do 3, I don't know. Hard work, passion, persistence. I always believe that these 3 are equally important in not just for pianists, but every single person who's trying to achieve that dream of theirs, or any other artist who wants to be there, whatever your dreams may be. I would have never had all that I have achieved today if it wasn't for me being just consistent, persistent. I think that a lot of people actually assume that I already had everything as it is, but the truth is I actually had to start from 0 myself. I definitely didn't have a team. It was just me. I had to do everything. I actually had nothing in my pocket or in my bank account, but I always knew that this is what I wanted. I was really passionate. I worked really hard for it. I remember working in multiple jobs that I hate and coming back home and just continuing my grind and continuing my research, my work to make music, to make all of those videos. And I always tried to learn whenever I could from artists that are already there. I remember having to work all the way until the wee hours of the morning, go to sleep, and then repeat that whole process again when I had to travel, especially flying to countries that had really high currencies. I remember sleeping in the airports, different friends, living room, wherever I could find, just to save that sum of money if I could, and on the next morning just showering and freshening up in the bathrooms in the airports. I remember also always bringing with me, whenever I travel, packets of instant oats, and so that way it made it more convenient for me to just look for hot water, and that was basically my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think at the end of the day, had I not had that sort of consistency and that persistence, deep down I knew all of this was going to be worth it, and I never stopped despite all of the circumstances that I had. I just kept going no matter what. It's definitely not something that I would want to go back to, but I always love to share my story and continue to inspire people. And I knew that my future self was gonna thank me so much for doing all of those, just so that I don't have to wake up right now every single morning to a 9-to-5 job that I hate. Go do it. You guys can definitely do it. If I did it from nothing, you guys can definitely do anything. This is Jolynn J Chin. Thank you once again, Eventeus, for having me. It was such a pleasure, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.